Good morning, everyone. Let's start our Thursday Upanishad class with prayers. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parbrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Bhu Bhavaswaha Tatsavitra Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Naha Prachodaya Asto ma sadgamya tamso ma jyotirgamya mrityorma amritam gamya Om sehna bhavtu sehna bhunaktu saviryam karvavai tejasvi navadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe Om shanti 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 Om. Let's open our Shvetashvarta Upanishad books. We're going to be starting with the chapter 5 today. And last time I was telling you that first part of this chapter speaks about the nature of God. And the latter part about the individual. But underlying both is their essential oneness. And to know that oneness is the purpose of the Upanishad. So understanding the nature of truth is important for realizing the oneness. And that's why the Rishi says in this very first verse of this chapter 5. Dve akshrehe brahmpare tu anantehe vidya avidye nihite yatra gude ksharam tu avidya hi amritam tu vidya vidya avidhe ishate yatu sa anyaha. Dve means two. Akshare, immutable. Akshar. Brahmpare, in the supreme truth. Tu means verily. Anante, in the infinite. Vidya avidya, knowledge and ignorance. Nihite, lie. Yatra, where. Gude, hidden. Ksharam, perishable. Tu means but, avidya, ignorance. He means indeed amritam, immortal. Again, tu means but or verily. Vidya, knowledge. Vidya, vidya, knowledge and ignorance. Ishate, rules. Here means he. Tu means indeed. Sa means he. Anyaha, different. So this Rishi is saying knowledge and ignorance verily lie hidden in the infinite. Immutable, supreme truth. That is what infinite is. Knowledge verily is immortal, while ignorance is perishable. Indeed. He who rules over knowledge and ignorance is indeed different from them. So he starts out with the two knowledges. That's why he's saying dve, two knowledge, vidya and avidya. Mundak Upanishad calls these two knowledges parvidya and aparvidya. Parvidya is the supreme knowledge and aparvidya is lower knowledge. So in this particular Upanishad, this Rishi is calling vidya and avidya, the same two things. Vidya implies the knowledge of the supreme truth. Brahma Vidya also it's called. You have heard that word, Brahma Vidya. And avidya refers to all other knowledges. Secular also and religious also. All the knowledges. are called avidya. But the key over here he's telling to us, trying to point towards our mind is that both are inherent in God. Both are imperishable and eternal, Akshar and Ananta. Because knowledge never perishes. It only goes from manifest to unmanifest condition. It always remains in its latent form, waiting to manifest or to be discovered. So it is only ignorance that ends, never the knowledge. So another meaning of vidya and avidya is knowledge and ignorance. So here both could also refer to the truth, knowledge of the truth, and ignorance of the truth. Even though of opposite nature, both reside in God. Both. It's definitely very difficult to understand the nature of both ignorance and knowledge because they are good, deep, very subtle. In trying to gain self-realization, some get stuck to this scholastic study of scriptures. Some to the intellectual understanding, and some become proud, and some even imagine they have become realized because they are still caught up in the net of ignorance, and which is very difficult to understand. Then he says ignorance is perishable. Ksharam tu avidyaha. Ignorance of the self or any subject ends with knowledge and is therefore perishable. Because when the vidya is there, avidya will perish. Also, the secular knowledge or religious knowledge keeps changing. That's another reason it's called perishable. Keeps on changing. Scientific theories are at times modified or proved wrong with the passage of time. Also, no object or being of the world remains the same. Everything changes in time. So its knowledge also changes, and we have to keep upgrading our knowledge. This is especially experienced these days when technology changes so fast. The knowledge becomes absolute by the time you manage to master it. Knowledge is immortal, then he says. Amritam tu vidya. How do we understand that? That means the knowledge of the truth, the absolute, is immortal, aksharam. Because truth is immortal. So once the ignorance of the truth is dispelled, it never comes back. Often people say that a person who has realized it, can they slip back? No. If you have really reached that height, you don't slip back. State of realization never ends in a state of ignorance. That's why the phrase is like amritam tu vidya. Knowledge is immortal. Vidya vindate amritam. We learned it in the Upanishad. That means knowledge bestows immortality. These are very famous. They have almost become mottos of many education institutions in India. Vidya vindate amrita. I remember the middle school I went to. These sayings were written all over the school. to encourage the students to move ahead towards the truth. Vidya vindate amritam, amritam tu vidya. Then he says God is different from both. What does it mean? Sa anya. God rules over both knowledge as well as ignorance. So that means knowledge of the truth and all other knowledges with their branches. But God himself remains beyond both. Whether it's a secular knowledge or a sacred knowledge. As consciousness, the very knowledge principle is different from all subjects and objects of knowledge, or even the thoughts of the ignorance and knowledge of objects. So he's trying to take our attention towards God in this verse. And the next mantra reasserts that right from the beginning of creation, all beings and all knowledges come from God only. There's no other source. God only. Ya yoni yonim adhitishtati ekaha vishwani rupani yoni cha sarvaha rishim parsutam kapilam yatam agre jnanahi vibrati jaimanam cha pashyet. Ya means who? Yoni yonim, every womb. We saw this in the last chapter also. Yoni yonim, it was used. Okay. That was the 11th verse in the 4th chapter. Yoni yonim, every womb. Adhitishtati, presides over. Ekaha, the one. Vishwani, all. Rupani, forms. Again, yoni means wombs, cha means and, sarva means all. Rishim, the sage. Parsutam was born. Kapilam, the Kapil. Yahu, tam means him. Agre, in the beginning. Jnane, with knowledge. Vivartihi, filled. Jaimanam, as he was being born. Cha means and, pashyet, saw. He is the one who presides over the origin of every creation. So he is God. Okay, he is the one who presides over the origin of every creation, over all forms and wombs. From him came the sage Kapil in the beginning, and he gave the knowledge to him, the all-knowing, and saw him being born. So Vishwani, Rupani, Yoni, cha sarvaha. Innumerable species and beings. According to the Vedas, there are 8.4 million different species. 84 lakh. You have heard that word. And these species are categorized as Udbij, Svedaj, Andaj, and Jaris. Udbij are those born with seeds, which germinate and sprout like trees and plants. Udbij. Svedaj. Just 1 second. There's a little disturbance here. So Svedaj, those born of sweat or humidity, like lice and fungus. Svedaj. The third category is Andaj, those born from eggs, like amphibians, reptiles, and birds. And fourth category is Jareyuj, those born from a womb, like human beings, monkeys. So let me go over again. I know there's a little disturbance over here in the sound. So first one is Udbij, born from seeds, sprout like trees and plants. They germinate from the seeds. Svedaj, those born of sweat or humidity, like lice and fungus. Andaj, those born from eggs. And Jareyuj, those born from a womb. Okay, monkeys, human beings. But the point this Rishi is making is that God presides over the creation of all beings of every species. What a task. What a task. Then he says, Rishi Parsutam Kapilam Yotam Agre. The firstborn. There has been a Kapil Muni also in our scriptures. But Kapil also refers to Hiranyagarbha, the total mind, which is the source of the entire creation. Hiranyagarbha, that's called a golden womb. That golden womb where all the total mind and the intellect are. Golden womb. It is God from whom the omniscient and all shining Kapil. It's like a Kanak Varnam, that is a Kapil, was born. So Hiranyagarbha was born. He was the witness to the birth of the creation. So God witnessed it all. So that means God exists before creation. Just like a mother was there before the child was born. So God exists before creation and is the origin of all that exists. And sage Kapil, the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, if you want to understand that, sage Kapil was born to sage Kardam, and who imparted the knowledge of the truth, Brahm Vidya, to his mother, Devhuti. So this little baby was the little child was the guru of his mother also, Devhuti. Okay, so no matter how you understand it, but over here this Rishi really means Hiranyagarbha as Kapil. Okay. For how long has the cycle of creation and dissolution been going on? Let's look at it in verse number 3. Eke ekam jalam bahuda vikurvan asmin kshetre sanharati eshah devah bhuyaha srishtvaha patya tatha ishah sarvadhipatyam kurute mahatmaha. Ek ekam, that means each. Jalam, net. Bahuda, bahuda means multiple ways. Vikurvan, making. Asmin, in this kshetre, in the world. Sanharati, destroys. Esha means this. Deva is the effulgent one, the shining one. Bhuyaha, once again. Srishtva, having created. Patya, the rulers. Tatha, as before. Ishaha, the Lord. Sarvadhipatyam kurute, presides over them. Mahatmaha, the great soul. The effulgent deity makes each net multifarious in this world, Bahuda, and then destroys it. So this creation is multifold, but then gets destroyed. The Lord, the great self, once again creates the rulers and resides over them all. So it's just like a worldwide web, jalam. Jal means web also, jal means a net also. Earlier we saw in chapter number 3, actually, verse number 1, he used the word God as a Jalwan. Lord is Jalwan, wields the great net of Maya, from which the world emerges. So over here it is said that each category of species is like a net from which many varieties of beings emerge. For example, if you look around, breathtaking variety of trees, bushes, creepers, flowering and non-flowering plants, crops, vegetables, all born from the seeds. We can't even count them. And then there are amazing creatures like the variety of tiny birds, insects. And there have been in the past huge dinosaurs born from the eggs. There are a variety of celestial beings like devatas, gandharvas, kinnars, yaksha, apsaras, and siddhs. We have not seen them, but we have heard about them in the scriptures. So they do exist. And in the modern times, us human beings also have created a worldwide web of knowledge with an intricate communication network. That's how all the people are connected worldwide. Some of us get caught into it day and night in that web of communication, bombarded by the information from all sides, various websites. We even call it a website. It's like a jal. And the modern person is even socializing most of the time in a virtual world, like on the Facebook. And now there's a new thing, artificial intelligence. It's all web. It's up to us how much we want to get caught up in this web. God's web is spread all over the universe, studied with the beings woven into the intricate pattern which is withdrawn back at the time of dissolution. It's like a jal which gets spread, then he takes it inside again. The endless cycle. This is not the first creation, actually, nor will it be the last. The word kshetra is used here, which means a field or a farm land, like crops that grow in fields and are cut and grown again and again. The creation comes into being and is destroyed again and again. That's why this kshetra word is very appropriate over here. In the Upanishad also, we learned that. Over there, the Yamaraj says that the Lord has not got tired. It's like a crop. It's created and then it's destroyed again. You cut the crop and the new crop is planted, new seeds. No wonder this Rishi is calling God great being, Mahatma. Mahatma, who illumines this beginningless cycle and this endless expanse of creation. In the next verse, he says, Sarvaha disha udharvam adhacha triyak prakashyan bhrajate yat u anagman evam sadeva bhagwan varenyah yoni swabhavan adhitishtati ekah. Sarva, all, disha, the directions. Udharvam, above. Adha, below. Cha means and, tryak, across, like a diagonally. Prakashyan, illumining. Brajate, shines. Yat u nangwan, just as the sun. See, sun shines in every direction, not just only down and above, every direction. Evam, in this way, sa means he, devaha, the effulgent one. Bhagwan, the Lord. Varenyaha, adorable. Yoni swabhavan, the source and its effect. Adhitishtati, presides over. Ekaha, alone. Just as the sun shines, illumining all the directions, above, below, and across, the effulgent and adorable Lord himself presides over the source, that means the Prakriti, and all its effects. So where do we get all the energy, the power? From God. The self-effulgent light. Definitely it's the name of the sun also, because we know that physical world is illumined by the sun in all directions, above, below, horizontally, and across. It's self-evident and brilliant. Similarly, God, the supreme consciousness, is self-effulgent, lights up the entire universe for our perception. God doesn't have to borrow the light from somebody. Okay, so self-effulgent or self-evident. These are the terms used for God. Varenium. Varenium means both adorable, fit to be chosen. See, you remember the Swambar word? Swambar? So you choose that. So Varenium, fit to be chosen among all the other things of the world. There are a lot of things we can choose, but God is the highest, the best. Okay, in that Gayatri mantra also that word comes over there. Tat Suvitra Varenium. We choose that light, which is godly light. There are many lights. There's a light in the lamp also, a light in a diya also. Many, many lights there are. Candle light is there too, but we choose God's light. Tat Suvitra Varenium. So over here, this Varenium word, this Rishi is using, that fit to be chosen amongst all the other things of the world. And the word Bhagwan means the Lord of all fortunes. And we talk about it often. Okay. The natural cause, Yoni Swabhav. So Prakriti, God's power, is called, is the cause, Yoni, of the whole world. So if there was no Prakriti, there cannot be a creation. So it's the very nature or the Swabhav of Prakriti to produce the world. But the Lord presides over Prakriti and all that is born from it, like the 5 elements and its grosser forms. See, those 5 elements, they are Prakriti. Tan matras are what? The Prakriti. Man buddhi chet ahankar, what is that? That is the Prakriti. All of this is needed for the creation. But all of that is inert without the creator. So it's a combination of both, Prakriti and the Purush, which creates. And this is what this great Rishi is bringing it to our attention. In the next mantra, this Rishi is describing God as the great cook. Yat cha swabhavam, this is verse number 5. Yat cha swabhavam pachati vishva yoni, pachyan cha sarvan parinam yedya, Sarvam etat vishwam adhitishtati ekaha gunancha sarvan viniyoj yed yat. Yat means who, cha means and. Swabhavam, the nature of each thing. Pachati ordains. Vishvayoni, the source of the entire creation. Pachyan, the mutable or the things created. Pachyan. Cha means and, sarvan all. Parinam yed, modifies. Ya means who. Sarvam all. Etad this. Vishwam, the whole universe. Adhitishtati, presides. Ekaha, alone. Gunan, qualities. Cha means and, sarvan all. Viniyoj, endows. Yed ya, that means who. The Lord, who is the source of the entire creation. So that means if anybody asks you where this world has come from God. So the Lord, who is the source of the entire creation, who ordains the nature of each thing, who modifies the things thus created, who endows them with qualities, and he alone presides over the whole universe. So the cause of all. Various causes can be found for the different things, situations, and beings experienced in this world of matter and energy, elements and nature. But God, ultimately, God is the cause of all causes, the source of the entire creation. This is what he's trying to make it clear to us. The cause of each nature also. We know that every element in this Prakriti has its own special characteristics. Everything in the world has its innate nature. For example, heat in fire. Okay, fire cannot be cold. Heat in fire and sapidity in water. Okay. It is God who has endowed each with the inherent nature, Swabhav. This is called a Swabhav. We know that fire is hot, but nobody knows why it's hot. That why we don't. We know how it burns, but we don't know why it burns. The literal meaning of the word pachati is cooks. But over here it means God bestows or endows each object with its special qualities. It's almost like if a child comes home from school day after day, opens the fridge and finds his food in there. Child starts thinking that food comes from the fridge. That fridge is the one which is giving the food. One day the child might say that to his mother that I don't think I need you anymore. My fridge gives me variety of food every day. Whatever I wish, it's already there. In the same way, some scientists call that scientific discovery as their own. They start feeling that they know a lot and give no credit to God. Just like a child, stop giving credit to God. The point is that we may discover the gravitational force that we do not know why it works the way it does. Not only does he endow everything with its inherent nature, but he also strengthens their nature. And it doesn't let that nature to be anything other than that. Fire cannot change its nature and becomes cold. We studied in Katha Upanishad. Over there, the Rishi said the fire emits heat out of a fear of the Lord. He even went to that extreme. That means it will not let go of its nature. Sabha. Now this Rishi says the cause of all modifications. Because the Prakriti modifies also, Vikar comes in the Prakriti, and the Vikar also come because of that godly power. We know that milk has its inherent quality of color, taste, fluidity, etc. But when we mix it with a starter, it curdles, become yogurt. That is a modification in the milk. It is God who endows milk with the ability to curdle. We see everywhere in this nature. We all know hydrogen is a gas. Oxygen is a gas. When they combine, we get water. Hydrogen is a gas that burns. Oxygen helps in burning, but when they combine to form water, it puts out to fire. We all know that. 2 parts of hydrogen with 1 part of oxygen becomes H2O. We all learned that in our grade schools. And that water we use to wash our hair. On the other hand, if there are 2 parts of hydrogen and 2 parts of oxygen, it will become H2O2. And we all know that is a hydrogen peroxide, which will bleach our hair. Point is that God is the one which gave those inherent qualities, and God presides over all these permutations. That is the modifications, that is the vikar, these permutations, combinations, mutations, and modifications of the world. And all the qualities born out of it, they are all presided over by God. We just become so engrossed into the Prakriti, we just overlook the ultimate source. God, the Lord, Bhagwan, Mahatma. These are the names this Rishi is giving. Whatever name is dear to us, we should never forget God. The cause of utility of each quality. Each quality of each and everything is meant for a purpose. Remember that. Just like we all understand, Sattva Gun makes us understand. Rajogun activates and Tamogun gives rest. So in the world, we see the strong labor, the smart people they create, brave defend, and the brainy discover. It is the Lord that puts each quality to good use. Just like a good boss utilizes the special talent of each employee. And this is a big boss. Each quality in everyone to good use. And that's why, going back to that fire burns and wind blows, and not vice versa. This good boss has created this. When milk, sugar, coffee, and water are mixed in the right proportion and heated, each substance imparts a special quality to form a special connotation, which we call coffee. They all have their inherent quality in them. So he's a great cook. That's why I said that he's a cook. God is the one who has created different ingredients. each with its special quality, mixing them in the different parts, in different combinations, to create this great feast called creation. Creation. Next week, we'll start the class with verse number 6. That's where this Rishi is bringing our attention towards the glory of Brahm Vidya, the knowledge of this absolute truth. He says that Ved Guh Upanishu Gudam Tat Brahm Vedate Brahm Yonim Ye Purvam Deva Rishyaha Cha Tad Vidustehe Tanmeha Amrita Ve Babhuvu. Okay, we'll end the class here today, and next week we'll look at that. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.